We're gonna go to the UK with Dr. Ulrich Loening. I hope I said your name correctly. He's a retired, Ulrich is a retired, he's retired from research in molecular biology, and he's now engaged in philosophy of science and human ecology. He will speak about how we can bring back the economy to have harmony with nature. Maybe I use back because I think we were at some point in harmony. How can we be at all in harmony with nature? Thank you so much.
What we need to face up to is what I started a paper on that Leni has and that you should all have a look at. Civilization has reached a fundamental contradiction. We've made fantastic advances, not just in the economy. We've invented phenomenal tools. Science is one of the main ones. The invention of money and the financial system was another one, of course. Language itself, if you go back to the 300,000 years or more, that's when language got going, and the written language only about 5 or 10,000 years ago, and so on. So we're landed up with a contradiction between the enormous successes that we're all enjoying, like on the zoo, and the endless fundamental problems that the world faces, of which climate change is just a symptom. The meeting that's going on here in London is on climate change, but all the participants recognize that it is just a symptom of how we live. So I tried to put my background experience in human ecology, the ecology of how and where and ultimately whether humans live on the planet. I tried to make a summary of where we are by comparing how we behave and what we do with how nature works. That's the fundamentals of the paper. And what it results in is actually a set of instructions of things that we need to do if we follow the assumption, it is an assumption, that if we behave like nature behaves, our problems will be solved. And the reason that we don't solve them is that we do not, as the Brundtland Commission analyzed in its first pages, we do not fit what we do with what nature does. So what are the differences and can we fit them? And I could list the differences, but everybody can invent their own. The purpose really is to say, let us expand the curiosity and the thinking. The purpose of the table of differences is not to show what the differences are. We can do that, but, and I will in a moment if you can put my slide on, but that's not the object. The object is to expand the thinking so that we will try and reach those sorts of conclusions. And what I put here is 9 factors by which natural processes on the left and industrial human activities on the right, how they compare. And there's a long text comparing each one of them and what it implies, which I don't want to go through, but I do want to stress that it's not a definitive table. For instance, the second line, that we think and work in a linear fashion in contrast to nature, which has networks and cycles. That's a general issue. But this meeting, for instance, is on the equinox. Most of us, most of the time, don't notice that it's the equinox because we have overcome the cycles of nature, lit up our cities at night. Night and day no longer matters. And the worst is we live in the 24/7 world. So you can go on looking at all of these like that. That second line, cycles and networks, could be expanded and include time and the cycles of time, our daily rhythms. It doesn't, but I'm just putting it in. to illustrate how we can change. If you look through all of them, and I'm not going to do that now, and you can read the paper, which is online on ResearchGate, so anybody can get it. You can look at what each one of them really means. I should stress that nature never does anything, line 5, in large excess. We think nature is powerful, but it's not a patch on what humans have achieved. And we need only take the nuclear industry and the atomic bomb to show how much more than nature we could do. I hope we don't ever let it off. But you don't need to take that. You can take antibiotics, which for billions of years have been a natural force in the biosphere. And in 50 years of overuse, excessive overuse, bacteria have become resistant. It's a ridiculous state of affairs. You can go on through all the other ones. The important one is the last, because what it all means is that we have overcome nature's feedback controls, and the economy that Lenin has just described is actually the most powerful force that has done that. It itself will not stand a feedback control. Economic growth feeds on itself to make more economic growth. It's positive feedback, not negative. We haven't learned that nature works by negative feedback. And that has enormous implications if we want to make an ecologically sound economy. And there's lots of people who've been trying to do that. And this meeting I'm at on climate change is one of those. So this is a way of thinking. And the result is really that we have to change the mindset of what we mean by progress. Really, progress is fitting in better. And fitting in better means, for the longer term future, a lot of changes that people don't want to face up to. I think the biggest message, which I don't say in the paper, but I should, I'm saying it now, is that we don't want to change our way of life, but actually it's been a disaster and we need to make a basic change. This is the reason for it. The note of optimism is that there is actually no material restraint to making the change. We can do all the things that I suggest in these 9 things. And if you can think of some others that are not here at all, please do and send them in and look at it. But the chances are that they will fit into one of those 9, like natural cycles do into number 2 that I mentioned. So it is a fluid list, but it's a list that makes you face up to the issues. And that is the note of optimism one can give, because we can actually, if we wish, do something about it all. We can all individually to a certain extent, but as Leni said, we're tied into a global system now, and that prevents us from doing the things I want to change. I think that's all I need to say like this. Somebody wants to expand on some of it, of course, can, but I don't think I need to say more now. So I look forward to some discussion.